All right. All right, welcome everybody. We're getting ready to start our school board candidate forum here for Mancos School District. And before we get going, we'd like everybody, just like we always do in our school board meetings, to please stand and we will say pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. All right, well, welcome again, everyone, to our school board candidate forum. My name is Audrey Hazelton, and I'm the new superintendent of Mancos School District. Over the last 2.5 months, I've had the pleasure of getting to know the Mancos community, especially our students, staff, teachers, leaders, parents, and board members. In my short time here, what has really stood out for me is the deep commitment and love this community has for our schools and the willingness everyone has to create opportunities and solve problems together for the betterment of our students, families, and our future. One piece of information is that our bathrooms are over here if you need them tonight. And also, if you want to ask any questions tonight, you can get a sticky and put them up on the board over there, and we might be able to answer them as the evening goes on. So tonight's forum features 4 candidates who have stepped forward to do this work in a formal capacity as a member of our Board of Education. So what does a school board do? School board members provide local control for our schools by establishing and renewing policies, employing me, the superintendent, setting visions and goals, and acting as community leaders, linking our schools to the public. Tonight is an opportunity for you, the public, to hear from these 4 candidates, Kira Taylor, Craig McClure, Emily Hutchinson Brown, and Victor Figueroa, before casting your vote this November 4th. Tonight's forum will be facilitated by Kyler Grankowski. Welcome, Kyler. I'm going to ask you to come into the camera view over here, Kyler. Kyler will be facilitating tonight. He is a local Mancos resident and owner and lead facilitator of Aligned Action LLC. In his work, Kyler supports nonprofits with organizational development, board of directors work, steering committees, stakeholder engagement, community education, and facilitation of events like ours tonight. We're very fortunate to have him here with us. And I'll be supporting Kyler over here on the side with a little bit of timing support and anything else that should come up. We really do appreciate your participation tonight, both in person and hello to our virtual viewers. You might not know this, but you all are showing and modeling for our students one of our portrait of a graduate competencies, civic mindedness. So by being here tonight. So thank you with that. I'll turn it over to Kyler.
All right, thank you, Aubrey. Thanks for having me here tonight in this capacity. My role here, I just want to talk about it real quick, is to be the facilitator and moderator. And so I want to let you know, especially the candidates, just the basics of that. So I'm here to support a respectful event. I want to ensure that you all have equal opportunity to contribute to the forum. I'm here to ask questions that the community has provided beforehand and potentially during the event. And I'm here to help keep everybody on time within the time bounds of the forum. To help with that, we wanted to suggest a couple candidate conduct agreements, just so that we're all in agreement on how we're going to be here together. So I'm going to read these off real quick. The first one is be present and engaged. So listening to the questions, listening to each other, just being present. All voices are equal, so we're going to speak one at a time. We're not going to interrupt, talk over people. And if I ask you to stop, please stop. Because we've got a lot of questions and a lot of candidates. So that will help us get to all the information that you all want to share. We're going to ask that you communicate with integrity. So that's sharing your truth your experiences, your wisdom, and using I statements. And lastly, we want to be respectful of each other and the time format of the form. So kind words and trying to stick to time. Do those all make sense to everybody? Any clarifying questions? Right. So a little bit more about the form. So we're going to have 2 minutes each to answer the questions. So we'll start. Um, Audrey here is going to be the timekeeper. She's going to have a little sign that gives you a 30-second warning that allows you to kind of say your final thoughts. And then she's got a nice pink times up uh, warning there too. And so that's there to just help you. And then I'll be here to be verbal if need be. What else? Yeah, so we're aiming to get 5 or 6 questions tonight. We've got some pre-slotted, and then if we have time, we'll do some more. And we also have a couple. Sorry, can everybody hear me? We also have a couple requests of the audience. So also you're here, you're participants, you're listening, and so we have over here on this flip chart by the brown door there, a couple agreements that we'd like to ask you to follow as well. So be present and engaged, same as everybody else. You can take care of your needs. The bathrooms are here. We're going to try to limit side conversation. You're totally welcome to do that. Maybe outside or after. We want you to listen actively and without judgment. To lean into curiosity. And again, if you have questions, let us know on the chart over here. Does that sound good to everybody, at least in the live audience? Okay, great. Well, shall we? All right. First round, we'll get to practice all those agreements. We'll start with you, Craig, and if you need me to restate the question, right? Just ask me to do that. I can do that. But the first question tonight is, what do you see as the purpose of a public school board, and what life experiences do you bring to this role?
Okay. I prepared statements for this. I'm a little nervous, so I wrote them down. The simple answer is the board is governance. But what does that mean? The board is responsible for holding the district true to its mission and values and maintaining the policies and procedures to support it. Yeah. If all goes well, the board is an observant, out of sight, out of light, and out of the day-to-day business of education. However, when needed, the board is a stabilizing force that provides guidance and takes responsibility for the hard choices. To be successful, the board must create and continually earn the trust of those it serves. Especially in a small community like Mancos, the board is the steward of the culture of leadership. The board should be listen widely and act carefully. Part of listening and being trusted to act with care is maintaining a safe environment for the expression of concerns for all stakeholders. I spent decades working in positions with high risk and a critically low margin for error, and I see the board as the same. In our community with our kids, we have a very narrow margin for error, so each concern, action, reaction, policy, and interaction must be treated with that same care. There are no small issues to make us. I'm running because I witnessed and personally experienced moments the board and the leadership lost my trust. The trust to own the most important environment our kids will ever have our schools. My experience as a struggling student on my own, a business owner, public safety officer, an employee managing a team of high-performing adult educators in another high-risk field has prepared me for the tough decisions. It also means I won't shy away from the hard questions. I've made decisions about budgeting, hiring, firing, and more importantly, progressive mentoring and discipline. I've had to make heartbreaking decisions about people's futures, and I've had to dig deep for compassion when people are at their worst. I've had to make choices of integrity with the consequences for great personal loss. I will bring all that with me as a presence who does their homework, comes prepared, and deliberates with depth immediately.
Thank you, Craig. Would you like me to ask the question again?
Sure.
All right, Emily. What do you see as the purpose of a public school board, and what life experiences do you bring to this role?
The most important role of the school board is to first and foremost employ the superintendent and then empower that person in managing the district. This is to be done within the confines of both federal and state law and district policy while keeping the outcomes for all of those goals to be met at the forefront of thought and within the most positive and professional culture. Effective boards often establish a clear vision with high expectations for exceptional student services and educational outcomes. The Board of Education is accountable to the community to ensure high standards, efficient and effective operations, and continuous improvement. A board must set policy and use that policy in regard to those actions in governance. The board must engage with the community, link to the community, and it is essential that the board lead as a unified group. The board must work with their superintendent to build a strong collaboration and mutual trust to ensure that their purpose is met with the best of possible outcomes. The life experience I bring to this role, first and foremost, starts with being born and raised in this valley. I was raised here in Four Corners. I'm an alumni of this school. I returned to the area just over 10 years ago to raise my son, and I got involved with the district immediately. I have served in many capacities from the PTA to the DAC to the current school board. I have sat on the current school board for the past 4 years, 2 as the treasurer of the board and currently as president of the board. I was a founding board member of Mancos United prior to assuming my role as president of the school board. I was raised by lifelong teachers, and I understand the challenges and the nuances of the educational system in our country. Professionally, I have spent the last 20 plus years of my career working alongside the founder to build a national, respected franchise company, and I have been involved in all areas of operations, e-commerce, service, brand development, and I serve as the COO of the company. I'm used to running really large organizations. I have sat for many years as vice president of an international industry board where I contribute efforts which impact industry licensing and regs. I
Emily,
recently added impact to that through a TikTok legislation. That is really where I personally find value.
thank you, Emily. Kira,
Is that better? So my name is Kira, and I don't know if I need to reiterate what it means to, or what the school board does necessarily, but I really liked what Audrey said about linking our schools to the public, and I feel like that focus is what I want to bring to this organization. So the purpose obviously is oversight of the district, it's support policy, but I want to help be a voice to our community, our teachers, our students, our children in this organization. I am not a long time Mancos resident. I am relatively new. I've been here 7 years, and I feel like in Mancos speak that's like you just arrived, basically. But I think that because of that, I can bring some humbleness about my understanding of this community, some curiosity about what we stand for, and a desire to be the voice for all of you. And my professional experience that I think can support that is a background in nonprofit administration. So I understand finances and budgeting. I understand board regulations. And I understand communication skills and how to work with diverse voices. And I've also done a lot of communication. My background's in English and writing, and I really want to bring communication skills to the board to promote transparency and community involvement. Lastly, I have a background in technology and education, so I can speak the language of teachers. I've worked in the Cortez School District for a number of years, and I have done technology education, so I can help this district to adjust and accommodate the ever-changing technology landscape, which I think is becoming a very important consideration in policy. That's all I have. Thank you.
thank you, Kira. Victor, what do you see as the purpose of a public school board and what life experiences do you bring to this role?
Well, I see public school board roles and through three lenses. The first lens is governance. The second lens is oversight. And the third lens is community representation. And in those lenses, if you watch our board meetings, you should see aspects of setting board policy and direction for the school district. You should see the district, you should see the board hiring a superintendent and evaluating that superintendent. You should see us reviewing and managing school district budgets and resources. You should see us representing different perspectives within our community. You should see us ensuring that students are successful and that they're being treated equally. And you should see us advocating for our district locally, statewide, and federally, when possible. As far as my life experience, I'm a retired educator. I've served education for the last 30 years. In my first 14 years, I directly worked with our students and families as a regular education teacher and a special education teacher. My last 16 years, I was an assistant superintendent at the middle school, elementary principal, a special education director for our school district, and an assistant superintendent. And all of those experiences have created a wealth of knowledge and understanding of the public school system that I have used over the last 4 years as a school board member and in supporting our school district and the school board as a whole.
Thank you, Victor. Okay, thanks everybody. Moving on to the second question. Back to you, Craig. Yeah, take a drink. What steps or actions would you take to represent the community? That community being students, parents, teachers, and staff.
I'm going to do everything I can to create conditions where you feel safe and welcome to the village. Every day our kids recite, I will be respectful, I will be responsible, I'll be ready. I love it. We as adults and board need to model this. Our portrait of a graduate ends with team play. We need to model that one. Our current board has amazing skills, dedication, and hearts, and I'm sure many of them know how to feel because I've told them themselves. One of the first questions I was asked when I started talking to community members about running was, have you formed any alliances? Let me be clear. My alliance is to the parents, teachers, staff, students, and community. But the single question is exactly why I'm sitting here now. The fact the community believes there are, or I should have, or I need, or I must need to be effective to get elected, I need an alliance is problematic. Here's the tough part, and I believe my future potential teammates on the board want the same change. To be blunt, our board has alliances. Our board is divided. It's not comfortable to watch. It's not comfortable to participate in, and it does not serve our district with potential for excellence I know exists in that room. And it does not create an environment for healthy debate and safe expression. I know this is true because teachers community have called me, taken me aside, and told me they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe speaking up. They don't feel secure in their jobs. That has to change. I have perspective, skill, and patience to help dissolve that perceived necessity for those alliances and rebuild trust internally and externally. If we can improve that situation, we've made great progress towards open and honest engagement with the community. I promise to never leave anyone unheard. The board member's job may not always be to solve the problem or offer solutions, but I assure you any concern will be handled with respect. I believe in our community and the power of this. We are tremendous. I urge all of you to join me. Engage as you can. Know you're welcome and valued. Believe you're welcome and valuable. Come to meetings. Listen on Facebook like I have to when I travel. Join the district advisory committee. We're all good stuff. Actually, let's talk about. Coach, volunteer, do whatever.
Thanks,
Very
Greg.
structure, and just about stuff.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, Emily. Your reference.
I can answer.
Okay.
So when you're electing a person to this seat, you're choosing a person to represent the community as one member of a 5-person board. The work of the board is as a group, and an individual member may have different ideas, may have different bias. They also may be able to work within the norms, or they have to be able to work within the norms and the expectations of a working board in regard to the agreed upon goals. In this case, district goals, goals of the school district as we have set them and are working through those goals with our one employee, our superintendent. The Board of Education is charged with determining the ends through their strategic plan and their governance, and it is the superintendent's work to lead the staff to achieve these ends through the means. The Board of Education has to give the superintendent the latitude to support and lead the staff in achieving the end goals. Therefore, if reelected, I will continue to support our superintendent of schools as she continues to solidify her leadership and deeper understanding of our district. I will personally strive to continue to keep the best interest of the student at the forefront of all we do. Pay close attention, listen without judgment, show up prepared, having done the work, do the work when I'm at the table. And I will strive to be unbiased and fair when making decisions. Bottom line, I will not bear the individual voices of other members of the community who have a voice of their own. Rather, I will use my own discernment and my seat to represent, make decisions on behalf of the best interests of the entire community as a whole. Sometimes those are difficult decisions and not everybody agrees with them. I have family here, I have a student in the district, I have relationships and the utmost respect for people of this community on this campus. And I think I have proven my care in this community and dedicated many, many hours of service, and will continue to do so regardless of whether I sit in board seat or not.
Thank you, Emily.
Okay, so Kira, hang on a second. Oh yeah, you should ask the question again for
Okay.
our big virtual.
Okay. I'll ask the question again for everybody.
Okay.
What steps or actions would you take to represent the community, that being students, parents, teachers, and staff, and the community at large?
Thank you. So I am, as I said, a former teacher and also a parent. So I have all kinds of opinions and ideas about what we could do as a district, how we could grow, how we could improve, how we best support our students. But I don't see that necessarily as my position on the board if I'm elected. I would like to use my position to gain information about the community, and I would like to use my position to gain information about what teachers and what students need. I am relatively new to Mancos. I love this community. I believe this community. I think this place is truly magical. And so I think it's important that I am the voice of all of you. How I see that happening is, if the board's considering a new policy, I would like to make a focus group. I would like to talk to teacher committees. I would like to get student representation. I am a data person. I love data. I want to get that information from all of you to learn how to best proceed. I think that we have amazing people on our board. We will continue to have amazing people on our board because I believe in our community. And we're only stronger with the opinions and the voices of our amazing community. So that's kind of how I see my potential future role is data collector, is community liaison, and I especially to like teacher and student voices. I think that sometimes gets looked over, and I think that those voices are also extremely vital to the conversation. So I would like to be a conduit. Again, I have a lot of my own ideas that I would like to be able to take unique ideas into consideration with what we do. Thank you.
Victor, what steps or actions would you take to represent the community, being students, parents, teachers, staff, and the community at large?
Thank you for that question. It's a great question. I feel like I will continue to support reaching out to our community through board linkage plan, through our board linkage plan. I will continue to lead students feedback sessions with small groups and receive feedback from 9th to 12th grade students through student survey. I supported suggestion boxes in each of our schools and on our website so that our students, our parents, our staff members, and our community could provide feedback to us. If elected, I'll seek ways for staff to meet with board members, maybe during PD Fridays or after school, so that they can give us their thoughts and ideas, feelings about how things are going. I want to ensure there's a consistent and fair way for staff to fill out surveys, to share their thoughts and ideas. Finally, I'm a firm believer in having principal advice meetings at each school to allow staff to hear from principals on how the work is going in the buildings and how new, possibly new initiatives that may be coming. This allows staff to give feedback to administration and provides them a voice in the process of the operations of school. I want to see our superintendent have a advisory council to the same end to get feedback and know how are things going in our district from the people that are working straight out with our students. And finally, the reason I advocate for these things is because I think this process helps us build relationships, it helps us develop trust, and it creates pathways for us to have two-way communication and our voice and opinion.
Thank you, Victor. Okay, folks, we're going to move on to our third question. Back to the front. Craig, are you ready? Craig is ready.
I have no idea. First question.
How would you ensure transparency and accountability in your work and decisions as a school board member?
I think transparency in the school board is pretty clear. The school board by statute process, everything is done in public. You can go back and you can watch 3 years worth of meetings on YouTube. I'm one ask and it shall be answered for the school board. I'm not all that concerned about transparency. I am concerned about accountability. And I think I think it's actually in the board handbook that the board will hold each other accountable regardless of the action. I'm not sure about every year it's exact, but that needs to be stressed. I didn't see it happen this year. We had a big thing happen in the school. I don't know if it was a big thing done well or big thing done well and poorly or a big thing done poorly. Whatever it was, didn't go well. And what I saw and what I heard from staff and teachers after was there was no follow. There was no perception of accountability of what happened, why didn't it happen, and more importantly, why won't it happen again. And I think that closed loop communication needs to improve. I think when a decision gets made, as Emily stated, they are tough decisions. They're going to be tough decisions. Not everyone's going to be happy. We're going to have to let people go at times. We're going to have to cut programs people don't like. We don't have all the money in the world, and we can't squeeze more blood from the stone and go from the liver. So we have to be better about having follow-up communication. Say this is why the decision was made. These are the factors that into it, and let people absorb that, and at least give them the ending why, even if they don't agree with the full decision. I don't know the proper process for that. It's probably not a big wide email, and it's probably not maybe it has to happen in a meeting. I'd have to learn how that goes, but that process is lacking, and that needs to be improved.
Thanks, Greg.
Repeat the question, since we're repeating everything.
Sure. How would you ensure transparency and accountability in your work and decisions as a school board member?
Okay, so I'm gonna hit this one pretty head on. It has been, it's no secret, and Craig has referenced it a couple times. We had a rough last quarter of our school year. for last half of our school year last year. First 3.5 years of my experience on this board were tremendous. Last 6 months were not. A lot of that has to do with the perception of transparency or understanding of issues. There is a lot to be said about understanding that recommendations are being made to the board by the superintendent. It is the board's work to work through their superintendent and understand the bigger picture. At times, that even includes working through an attorney when it comes to human resource matters or other matters that are touchy. Districts can get themselves into a lot of trouble real fast if they're not very careful in guiding the decisions that they are affirming or disaffirming through their superintendent. That means the district itself also has to have understanding, meaning the staff, the community. A lot of that comes through being involved, reading the notes, the minutes, coming to meetings, getting involved with the district accountability committee. That is an entire committee created to hold a board accountable. And we struggle year after year with people belonging and understanding. One group understanding relays the understanding to others, right? So a lot of what that transparency and accountability is created from ultimately lies with people participating. It's kind of like parenting. If we are great parents, we are aware of what our children kind of are in and out of and what they're up to, what they're doing in school, right? We hope to. If we're not paying attention at all, we have no idea what our kids are. Kind of the same thing. So it is our responsibility. It is our civic duty to understand the bigger picture. And that, I think, is really just being very clear what is everybody's responsibility. I don't believe we've done something wrong. There's just a lot of work to do.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, so transparency like think a little bit, but we'll start there. These two words feel very important to me as a board member, and I think they speak to my background and strengths and are things that I would love to support the board in. I agree that, as Emily said, that we all have a civic responsibility to know what the board is doing and to hold the board accountable. And I think that it would be helpful to support the board and the community in making information that we are processing and that we would be looking into more digestible and available to our community. Yes, we have board meetings on the website. Yes, we have minute notes and financial documents. How can we give those to community members who might only have 5 minutes a day to engage with them, or 10 minutes once a week to engage with them? How can we digest things in a way that is then accessible for people who don't understand the complexities of board policy and board organization? So I would like to help with that piece. I am a former teacher, so I've brought big science ideas to fifth graders, and I know that this community is full of really civically minded and smart people. So I'd love to consolidate things in a way that's accessible for everybody, which will help with the transparency, and I think it would help with the engagement if things are at a digestible level for everybody. And that's gonna give the community an opportunity to understand enough to hold the board more accountable for what your needs are and what your needs are for the district. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Let me read this one more time.
Yeah.
How would you ensure transparency and accountability in your work and decisions as a school board member?
So let me start off with transparency. So I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to give you a solution. An example of a lack of transparency and a lack of information being given out to the public was our housing initiative last year. I had so many staff members and community members call and say, where the budget to this? Where can I see the numbers about how much this is going to cost us and what we need to do? And to me, that's our responsibility. That's our us as a board. That is not a community not wanting to get information. That's us not putting it out there in a way that people can get it. And this year, we've advocated a system where when we have board meetings, we are going to put information up, as much information as possible that's not confidential or breaks any laws, so that our public clearly has an agenda for the board meeting with attachments that go along with that, so that they can easily pull that up on the website and be able to read for themselves what this is about. And then, if they still have questions, come to the board meeting and ask those questions. That's transparency. And as much as possible, if I'm re-elected, I will continue to push our board for more and more transparency. Accountability, I expect our community to hold us accountable. That's what I expect. When you don't have information, you come and tell us about that publicly and privately. Because it is you that we're responsible to. It is you that we speak your perspective to. So when we talk about accountability and transparency, we expect to do that, and we haven't done a great job doing that. We need to do that.
Thank you, Victor. All right.
First off, I'll just say,
Now, Kyler, are you gonna move together? I was gonna say first and start out.
I can.
Then everybody gets fair shake.
All right. Let's do it.
You're like, oh, it's relaxing.
Emily,
Yeah.
as a school board member, how will you ensure that students in Mancos schools have an exceptional experience to grow and achieve at their highest levels?
Oh, I love that question. How will I ensure that the students have you say again, the acceptance and
Have an exceptional experience and grow and achieve at their highest
so
levels.
growth and achievement. So to achieve growth and achievement numbers or have a positive experience, you have to have what the kids want, right? They're not just coming because they love that science film. And we have found, and it is true, and I've seen it in my own student, and I think that I know many of you are parents, I've seen, that in this district, what has been done and has, what we're continuing to see is we have been able to engage our student population to a much greater degree through programs such as concurrent enrollment opportunities, pathways programs. There have been the increase in enrollment for our students has gone up tremendously. I had even got some stats. We're engaging 75 to 95% of our student population in extracurricular activities. That's something that not all districts actually do. We went from one certificate being awarded in 2021, I think, to nearly 200 certificates, I believe it was, in 2023, or over 100, so it was close to 2 in 2023. We have made significant strides in the last 4 years to offer more to our students to engage them. Project-based learning, which I know nobody loves that term, but it is true that PBL gives those kids the ability to put their hands in it. And if we can continue to monitor our outcomes and make sure that those numbers, those growth and achievement numbers are either at point or growing, which we have seen, and then concentrate on those areas where we're not. If math is down, we have to shift things. If reading is down, we shift. That is the work of the board. That is monitoring outcomes. That is monitoring whether or not our kids are achieving through those programs and what we've given.
Thank you.
Do you mind repeating the question?
Yep. As a school board member, how will you ensure that students in Mancos schools have an exceptional experience and grow and achieve at their highest levels?
Okay, thank you. So the most important aspect of this for me is that it includes every single student in the district. We are not just looking at improving test scores. We're not just looking at improving attendance and enrollment. We're looking at whole kids, individual kids, and all kids in the district. So what this might look like from my perspective is that we continue to build policy that promotes inclusiveness, that promotes a positive um, and kind learning environment for every single kid in this district. That we, develop a more robust anti-bullying policy for our district. As per Colorado state law, we have one, but I think it could be improved upon. And I know that this is something that is concerning for some parents and some teachers here. And I also think that approaching education from a very student-led perspective, I really liked Emily's point to student interest-led learning is really beneficial. I also have to say, project-based learning, maybe not everybody likes those words, but I think it's amazing. It's really evidence-based. It's evidence-based educational practice that has been shown to succeed. It keeps kids engaged. It teaches them life skills that they can use for jobs, for their community. I'm a believer in that practice. And along those lines, just using evidence-based educational systems for our kids. So keeping up with what works. With the caveat that our community is unique and we need to make sure that we're taking that into account with whatever we decide to do. Thank you.
Thanks, good. Active.
Yep.
Yep. As a school board member, how will you ensure that students in Mancos schools have an exceptional experience and grow and achieve at their highest levels?
So I will answer this first by saying that attracting and retaining highly qualified teachers is the first part of it. And what I mean by that is that research has shown that the number one factor for students to learn and achieve is a highly qualified teacher. And we are struggling keeping our teachers and paying them, which is why we are working hard to try to fix that. If teachers can get paid more somewhere else, it's not that they don't care about our kids here, but they need to make a living. So that's the number one aspect. The positive thing about our school district is that Mancos School District excels at individualizing learning for students. At the elementary level, they use assessment, and they use assessment data to inform academic and behavioral plans. At the middle school, they offer exploratory subjects to broaden students' perspectives and interests, and at the high school, they focus on completing the 26 credits needed to graduate, and they explore career pathways. These are all engaging types of events that kids want to take hold of. We need to continue to use our professional development to help our staff get better and better at skills that they do every day with our students, and that's teach them, engage them, and love them, and take them from where they are. We also have to look at the data and determine if we're putting this much money into a program, is it effective? That's why we have to look at student achievement to determine that data. And I just will point out that if you look at student achievement this last year, you will see a significant increase in student achievement at all the levels, elementary
Thanks, Victor.
and high school. If you look at that data, and that's the kind of data we see.
Thanks. Right. Yep. As a school board member, how will you ensure that students in Mancos schools have an exceptional experience and grow and achieve at their highest levels?
I think this one is tying together with these three segments. First, we need to continue to invest in metrics. We have a great strategic plan. We gather great data. We analyze great data. Watching the presentation from the Early Learning Center on the accreditation process and the steps they took to get the data and how they did that. We need to continue that kind of investment. But we need to look beyond the test scores. We need to take advantage of our innovative status. I was a kid who came out of high school. I can take a standardized test in my sleep and do fine. I left high school and fell flat on my face because no one prepared me to thrive when I left that environment. We need to engage our students, prepare them to thrive on the danger no matter what they do. And to that end, I taught my Pathways program for 2 years. I had a blast. I loved it. I taught the EMR class. And those kids went on to, I don't think they probably would have done anyway. They went on to nursing school. They plugged in the fire department ready to go with service. We gave them life skills. And more importantly, we met them where they were. For us to succeed with these students, we need to meet them where they are and move them as far as we can and have without this perception that they have to get to a certain goal. We have to look at what their goals are and get them to those goals so they thrive on those things. And that's not just pathways. That's all the other stuff. That's athletics. They're going to be coaches and trainers and all the other stuff. Art, music, our outdoor education program, all these things give these kids tools to be themselves and thrive. And to the end, empower teachers to use our PBL program. I don't know why we're talking about PBL. I think it's rad. I wish I had it. Let them say, okay, but people can think like, sorry, I didn't say you said. We need to empower teachers to use that framework to its fullest success and to engage the students and give the teachers the power to really use it and not decide what that outcome should be. As Victor said, they're trained, they're good, let them go with it. There you go.
All right. We'll keep moving it down the line. Let's start with you, Kira, for this next question. Folks touched on it a little bit, but we're going to give it its own space. How will you support and advocate for better pay for teachers? And what steps will you take to help fill vacant positions?
That's a great question. Well, I hope you all know there's a Millipede in November. There's some information in the back of the room if you want more. That's going to be the biggest first step that we can take because that is literal money for our staff in this district. And along those lines, ensuring that money, if we are if our district is successful in passing that levy, that money goes where it's needed, and that teachers have some input in how it is allocated. And in terms of attracting and retaining talent, that's a hard one to answer in this area. I think that one of our greatest strengths is that we do have a lot of educators who have history and have love for this community. So potentially we could do something that encourages our students who are interested in education to come back to where they once learned. Because I feel like I don't think Mancos is a hard sell. I think we are really amazing, but people who don't know our community might not understand what they're coming into. So people who've been here would already have a sense of how important and how great this place is, and maybe be more willing to invest as a teacher. And the levy is a first step, but I think we have to, as a board, continue to find ways to increase teacher salary continuously, so it maintains a high enough level to meet up with inflation and cost of living in this area. And then B, which might take some creative solutions and some community input, and B, just find ways to continue to build the positive school culture we have and support teachers in what they do best.
Thanks. Victor, you touched on this, but I'll read the question again. How will you support and advocate for better pay for teachers? And what steps would you take to help fill vacant positions?
I'm going to go around about on that question and just give you some statistics. And that answer the question. Currently, Mancos ranks 9 publics, 10 districts, and starting teacher salary. And as a result, we pay teachers $10,000 less than the regular and $7,000 less than Cortez. The Colorado Department of Education shows that the Mancos School District has a teacher turnover rate of 8%, higher than the state average. This data is troubling. During the last 4 years of Mancos School Board, I have consistently supported yearly increases in staff salaries. These increases have amounted to 18.25 increases in staff pay without any tax increase. But it's time now. And the next step is a mill levy override that will be on the November ballot. If it passes, these funds will significantly increase wages and recruitment and retention for our staff. We have a big decision. Our community has always supported us when we asked them to. This is a critical time for us to really hold on to the teachers, the great teachers that we already have, and to pay them at least close to what other school districts in the area are receiving. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Greg,
I give it to me if you want. We're there. Ready?
go ahead.
Okay. I know pay is important, and I'm just going to go. I'm going to start with confidence that the survey said if we educate well, the mill levy pass. So let's go educate well. Let's pass the mill levy. We'll get that done. But more importantly, I learned this long ago with a great boss that people don't leave their jobs because of the pay. People look to leave their jobs because they don't like their job, and then they realize the pay is better somewhere else. So the first is culture. I've had several teachers tell me last year is the worst year ever in the district for personally. We have a culture problem. We can fix a culture problem. We're off to a great start. Asking the teachers after the first few days of in-service, they were excited. They're seeing change. We need to pour gasoline on that fire and keep it rolling. We don't have that money. If you read the budget, no one's hiding money in a pocket somewhere. We're strapped when we have building issues. We have historic buildings. We have all these things we need to spend money on. No one's hiding money from the teachers. It just may be we need to sit down and have a hard look at priorities. And if the ultimate priority is teacher pay, we're going to have to find it from somewhere else if we can't get it nationally. If we can't get it from the state, we can't get it from the feds. We can't just dig a hole back in the yard and find money underground. It's not there. So on retention, we have great intangibles. We have the Mancos. We have the mountains. We have our people. We have actually a growing nightlife. We have a tequila bar. Like we're doing great now. So we need to make this one leadership, and we're on a great path with leadership. But we need to promote the intangibles and make this a club people want to join. If we have great teachers, keep those great teachers. Great teachers attract other great teachers. And if we keep an environment where they're happy, yes, they need more money, but it's not all about money.
You guys are getting good at this. I'll repeat it. How will you support and advocate for better pay for teachers? And what steps would you take to help fill vacant positions?
It's, I don't have to say it, but I'm going to say it again. Teacher pay is a critical issue. We have to make this district valuable in every possible way we can. We are the 130th district in terms of pay out of 178 districts in Colorado. Colorado teachers earn 36% less than other college-educated professions. And nationwide, that stat is anywhere between 3.4 and 36% less. So we're not alone. It's not a Mancos problem. It's not a Colorado problem. It is a nationwide issue in how we value education as a nation. We don't, period. The mill levy is not going to add to the bottom line as much as I think some hope. It is absolutely necessary. Has to pass. It is going to get us a little bit more in line with our surrounding districts. It's not going to tip us over. I'm just going to be very blatant. 100% of it is allocated to teachers and staff, and it's written in legislation that it be so. That allocation 100% will grow as inflation grows over time. We're not going to have a cap. It will continue to grow. The mill will grow. We have to think differently and do things differently, do things that others are not going to do to win the battle and get folks to invest in us. And this starts with culture. Things we've done already. 4-day week. Started a long time ago under Brian Hansen when he said, we're going to go to school 4 days a week. That was to recruit teachers. Okay. We've also done sabbatical policy. We've been flexible wherever we can. We've attempted to establish housing. Housing is a huge need in this district because nobody can afford to live here. Okay. A majority of the budget already, upwards of 80%, Chrissy's not here, so I don't wanna, don't quote me on the percentage until we ask Chrissy. But the majority of our budget is already being spent on teacher salary and benefits. So the reshuffling exercise becomes very difficult. Can we do it? I think we can get creative, but we have to be different. Pathways, innovative status, things that help us track better ways to get back to people wanting to be here.
Thank you, Emily. Thanks, everybody. Gonna see if I can take this with me over to the question board and see. Oh, wait.
Or can we do it somewhere? No, I wrote it. Something else we do.
Okay. If you wrote this and you want credit, raise your hand so we know whose great question this was. I'll read it though. We'll start with you, Victor.
Okay.
What do you think the biggest issues are facing our board in our district, and how would you approach solving them?
Well, we hit on it, so I'm not going to say a whole bunch specifically, but talk about how the constitution we handle it. The biggest challenge facing the major schools is providing competitive wages to our teachers and staff. I know that money isn't everything, but people want to be able to live in our community, have our staff live in Cortez because it's cheaper. That's not right. They should be right here in our community, participating in our community and involved in our community. So we can say whatever we want to say. I've been a teacher. I have a family. I know we ain't getting paid a lot. And I can tell you this, our teachers are teaching because they're passionate and they're driven. This is an inner deal. This is something that they want to do because they have a desire. They want to work with our youth. They don't do it because they get paid a lot. But that's not good enough anymore. It's hard to live that way. So what I would suggest at this point is that that we look at benefits that we're giving teachers. We're giving them health care, we're giving them dental, and we're giving them vision care. We need to value the fact that we're helping support retirement plans, that we're doing that we pay professional development for them so that they can continue to develop, that we continue to give them breaks, like the holiday breaks and Christmas breaks. Those are all benefits that make teachers feel like this is worth it. Summer breaks. Everyone, there's not a lot of jobs that have those types of breaks available. One thing I will say is that right now we give some discretionary days. Most of the districts around us give 10 discretionary days, so we can improve that.
Thanks, Victor. That's all the time.
Okay.
Again, and tell them who's responsible for it.
Oh yeah, maybe. I can't tell you who's responsible for it, but I can read it. What do you think the biggest issues are facing our board and our district, and how would you approach solving them?
So I have a horrible answer because I have 3 points and probably no answers to them. The first to me I've hit before is trust. We have to address this issue of the field of safety and security. Teachers need to know that it needs to be predictable. They need to know what they can rely on, what they can't rely on. And from what I've heard, that's not true top to bottom at this point. Compensation and retention. Victor, I listened to you and I thought that's what it is. The word is compensation, right? It's the whole package. We can't do it on dollars, but what else can we do to make this attractive? How can we make this a whole package of community, a place you want to be with all the benefits, all the great fringe things you get from being in Mancos? How do we make that valuable? And the last one that wasn't planning really to address, and I'm going to be careful with it, is I'm worried about future external political pressure and what the national political landscape looks like and how our board is prepared to address that if we get issues coming at us that we weren't expecting. And I think we need to be thoughtful and agile with an open mind because I think we have change coming to us.
Thank you. Emily, what do you think the biggest issues are facing our board and our district, and how would you approach solving them?
I'm gonna skip the first issue. I'll come back around to it. One of the biggest issues that we have is we have got to find a way to attract more kids and families to our community and our district. The more children that we have enrolled in our school, the more money that we're getting for those enrollments. It increases our student count, it increases our dollars. We have to become attractive to families as well as employees. It's why sports and after school activities, pathway programs, project-based learning. It's why even how we handle a school resource officer in that position matter. Because people need to feel as though there's something here that they value and they want to bring their kids. Whatever their values are, they need to feel safe and included. The more that we have in terms of families and enrollment, the more dollars we have. Yes, it comes with some pressures, but we have room. We have to attract more people to become involved with this district. We have to. When we start talking about more hands do better work, that is absolutely a huge solution. Without volunteers, the talent that is in this room alone could add value to this district, to the classroom, to the students, to the aftercare programs, to the governments, in ways that nobody really ever considers. And everybody has value to offer if they would just be able to raise their hand and find their place. And that is work to be done on both sides. Finally, obviously, we have got to find ways to compensate our staff. And I say staff because it's all inclusive. There's oftentimes we hear teacher, teacher, teacher. What about the cafeteria workers, the bus drivers, the maintenance guys? Everybody inclusive, including the administration, which work harder than anyone because they're year round and they've got the weight of the world on their shoulders. Okay? We have to find ways to attract people to want to come to this district as a whole. And that is a tough challenge, and we have to think differently.
Thanks, Emily.
Yeah, so I just gotta say, I'm grateful that even though we have some different ideas of how to go about it, I feel like everybody up here have the same motivations, the same desires, really just wants to see the best for our teachers and our students. And I know that's not always the case if it counts. So thank you, everybody out there. That's pretty awkward because I feel like I just keep repeating what people are saying. One thing I would add though is kind of to expand upon what Emily was saying. I think that kind of transparency piece could help with some of those ideas. Could help community get more involved, could help, because I agree with both of you, I think Grace with this question, that we'll have to come up with innovative solutions to address some of these questions. And we can't do it alone. The board is a small group and our community is large and wise and experienced and has a lot of ideas. So increasing that transparency piece and that community engagement piece can potentially provide some answers to these questions that are really hard to answer right now. And yeah, I would like to help facilitate some of those conversations, regardless of what happens in November. I would love to see more of that. Like we are so much stronger together. So yeah, I agree. I agree with what everybody said. I would just add continuing to grow our student culture piece. Ensuring that all students feel included, that all students feel valued, and that students learn how to interact with each other in a way that enables those kinds of skills to be cultivated by them. I want our school to continue to produce kind and civically minded young people, like we have. So I think that that's an important consideration as well. And maybe there can be some policy support progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do you have another from the board? Back to you. Okay. What ideas do you have for improving in-district communication and collaboration?
Oh. To me, I don't, I'm stumped on communication. I think the amount of, and actually maybe less, I don't know, the amount of outward communication I get from the school is almost overwhelming. I feel like the school almost over communicates, and that's not a criticism. That's not a fault. I don't feel like there's a lack of information going on. I'm encouraged by what Victor said about plans for next year, which is to provide materials in advance so people come into board meetings haven't been in the same homework board members did. I think it's incredibly important to give the information up front. Um, but I'm truly the loss. The part of communication, you put everything out, but how do you get people to and maybe here is right that it needs to be broken down into smaller bits. Is it put out in ways, can I absorb this in 5 minutes or 10 minutes? For the love of God, like do we dive into the social media culture and put things out almost in like the 30-second snippet? Kind of engage our people where their attention spans are. I don't know. What was the second part of that one? Or no?
Improving in-district communication and collaboration.
I don't know. Like I don't see a lack of collaboration. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do with that. So I'm going to say truly, like I don't see it. I don't see a problem. I don't see something that needs to be increased. I do see what Emily says, which is we do struggle to get people to engage. I was at the last GAC meeting. We had 7 people in the room. Seven great people, but only 7. So how we have to make these things more attractive. Great steps were made, food, possibly daycare, like take the little steps, make it easy for people to engage. But I'm not sure I see a lack. I just see like there could be. I don't want it to be a criticism. We're all busy. Like I don't want to criticize people that volunteer and do other places and say you're not participating in the school. We all do a bunch of stuff. So I don't know what to do. Maybe someone else up here has answers.
Jamie? I don't need it repeated. So, this is a huge passion point of mine and has been forever. I'm responsible for communication for a national franchise company. The key is when communicating, you have to deliver information to how people want to receive it and will receive it, right? It has to be valuable, it has to be delivered to where they can understand it, read it, consume it, have time for it, whatever the platform is. Here's the bottom line. All of that takes money. You have to have money to have the right systems, to have the good website or the good app or the good, every text a school sends costs them money. Every email a school sends costs them money. We have made significant improvements in 4 years, trust me. But we need some streamlining, if you will. And I know that there have been huge improvements, and we're still improving all the time. We now have a point person in Alice Miller, and she does an incredible job at streamlining communication. There are tools that we could have, if we could afford them, that would make it even better. We need volunteers to be able to help with some of that. Like, for instance, we don't have a PR person. All PR, meaning every article you see, every coverage that you see is all funneled through either the superintendent, myself at this point in time, another board member, a community member, a coach. We don't have a central point of contact. We're kind of all over the place by force, right? And that's actually, again, improved a lot. Board Books is now in place. That's the tool that gives people the opportunity to be able to see agendas. And truthfully, you're going to get a lot of the same information because it's as by law what we're able to release. We can't release anything that is, related to human resources or anything that is beyond what's applicable. I've always had this idea that, we ask our staff to come to PD, to professional development days. PD is not really lovely, like not everybody loves it. But what if we did PD for families and it was part of what they had to do? If you enroll your child in a private school, you've got to go to an orientation and you've got to do X, Y, and Z in order to be able to put your child in those forums. And so I think here we should do a better job at allowing our staff, or our families, to have access to understand what it's really all about. Maybe that'll help.
Thanks, Emily.
Actually, if you could repeat it. I should
Yeah.
make sure.
Let's do it. What ideas do you have for improving in-district communication and collaboration?
Just ask a clarifying question before your example. In district, meaning inside our district, or you mean the community as a whole?
I didn't write it.
You just read it as is, and however you want to interpret, so that everybody gets the same.
Yeah. What ideas do you have for improving in-district communication and collaboration?
Okay. I guess I can kind of approach it from both sides. Why not? Yeah, I agree that with Craig that we get a lot of information from the district as a parent from that information. I think it's really helpful to know what schools are doing, to know what they're succeeding at, to know what the plans are and the schedules are. I'm very grateful. Just with that incident last week with the strange smell, I felt like I knew what was going on as it happened, and I love that the district then gave us information about what they're going to do better next time, how they're evaluating the process, and you know, that's something that we all could probably do better with. It is you know, learning from our processes and improving our processes. So yeah, I think that that's already such a step in the right direction. Um, I also think that we need to meet people where they're at, which for me means not everybody's going to have the time and the space, the money, the capacity, the mental health, the logistical support to be more involved as we may want them to. So I think that it's important to to ask for involvement in a way that is inclusive to everybody and what their abilities are. And I think with that, we might get a little bit more engagement on a community level. What that looks like, I think it really kind of would depend. It requires some communication and some evaluation of what we're doing and how we can proceed with that. In terms of in-district communication, like between schools, between students, between teachers, I think that it's already good. It will be improved upon, especially I feel like the transitions between the elementary level, the pre-K level, so the local level. There's already some great policies in place. I think that could probably be more to get students used to a new environment and to help teachers help each other with that transition. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll read it one more time.
Yes, please.
What ideas do you have for improving in-district communication and collaboration?
Okay, so I'm going to try to answer it in 2 minutes, both sides. What I think, here's an example of things we can do better. We know that we're struggling with our budget. It's tight. The state doesn't have the money, and they're actually retracting money from the district. So we're not going to get help from the state. So, for example, we have a mill levy on the docket. I would have liked to see us meet with our community and talk about exactly where all the money's going and get feedback from them as it relates to the information we share about how we're using all it, and then take their feedback and consider it as we try to plan forward. The same thing with our staff. These are all constituents. These are folks that work in our district that are committed. They should all have the opportunity to be able to give feedback about where they think money should go. When I say that, that doesn't mean that's where money should go, but we should get their feedback. We should have forums where we meet with all staff and say, here's what the budget is, here's what we're thinking, what are your ideas? And that's both for the community. Those are ways that we can improve the commitment that our community has. If we would do that, I would feel 100% better in a lot of ways that our community is ready to approve a mill levy. If they would have saw the work that we're doing and the budget that we have and what we're using that money for, I would really feel good about that. But that's not the case. I mean, that's not the case. That doesn't mean it's not going to pass. But in the future, if it doesn't pass, that's what I would propose is clearly involving our constituents and helping giving them the same information that the board is getting from our business person.
Thanks, Victor. All right, we're getting close to the end here. We're gonna do one last round of final remarks. You have 2 minutes. And if you're willing to start again,
Final remarks.
final remarks, open mic.
We have jokes for this. I appreciate all of you being here. It's actually more than having been to other meetings, it's more than I expected. And I think we've had a pretty good turnout online as well. I ran into people on the road leaving like, I can't go, but I'm going to go tune in. So, one, I appreciate all that. I don't know how this shakes out. You have 4 passionate people here, each with different skills in different ways, that everyone here is going to serve the board well. So, all I hope is in the process that we're raising the right issues, we're raising the level of discourse, we're talking about the right things, and we're getting people engaged in a respectful, kind way that really does kind of set a tone for who we want to be as a school leadership. I recognize that some of the things today I might have said might have felt personal to people on the board, and I'm sorry for that, but I also know that you're professionals, and we've all talked and we all know their issues, and they need to be addressed, and I have full confidence that whatever group ends up sitting in that room is going to do the job. But we all, whoever we are, that isn't at the horseshoe table in the middle, engages to hold them accountable. And that's what I've heard. That's probably the most important thing I've heard tonight was we need to hold people accountable, hold the board accountable, hold yourselves accountable, and trust in the people that get at that table. You have good people who are going to succeed in this.
Thank you, Emily.
I'm going to concentrate on what we've done really well, because it's really easy to throw arrows. So, salaries have gone up nearly 20% since 2020 in this district. We have received millions in best grant money to improve this school campus. We have a well-performing district in terms of graduation rates, 100%. In terms of growth and achievement numbers that are either improving or they're good. We have a well-performing district with happy kids. We have good governance. We have seated a student at the board, within the board. We have student seats still to be determined this year. We have improved communications. We've increased our ending fund balance from 1.7 to 2.5 million since 2021, and that is after the nearly $1 million we spent last year fixing the field and doing roofs and all kinds of other unplanned expenses which happen in capital. Hopefully, we're going to get a mill levy passed, which will also increase what comes to our teachers. We have put policies in place that have improved the quality of this campus, and it has improved the quality of people and students and families on this campus. We pay attention to our policy. We're doing the work of policy. We revamped policy 4 years ago from start to finish. That's a lot of work, and it'll always be work. There are a lot of things that we have done extremely well in the last 4 years. A lot. And I don't want to lose sight of that over a few months of bumps. Bias will always be involved in school districts. It's just part of school districts and politics, and it's part of governance. And I would only clearly state that we all have to play a part. We all have to show up. We all have to educate ourselves. We all have to have a voice. And we all have to care. And that's what I see is a group full of individuals, whether it's the 4 individuals sitting up here, or the people in the audience, or the people that are watching, who obviously care. So you're paying attention. That's a pretty good place to start.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to repeat that I think there's no bad choices here tonight, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to even run and be involved in my community in this way. I'm hopeful that I can help facilitate some communication, use my background for that, regardless of how things proceed. And regardless of how things proceed, I would be involved with this district in some capacity as the mom of a 4-year-old who's and is in his second year at the early learning center right now. Such a great program, and having the time of his life. So I look forward to that engagement in years to come. Yeah, and I just wanted to offer up my skill set in communication, in community engagement, in education, and and technology. Um, yeah, I think that the work of them amazing things, and I look forward to seeing how things proceed in the next year. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I will just wrap this up with me and really saying, first of all, I really believe in democracy. And I am thrilled that there's 4 of us up here and there's 2 seats, because that means that the people will decide how this works and who represents them the best. And it's not about us, having different views. We're pretty closely over, like Kara said, we're not extreme one way or the other. But there's a choice. And no matter what, that choice is going to be enacted. And I'm happy about that. I feel strongly that no matter what's decided, from the board perspective, the community has 4 great candidates to choose from. And you can't move, the community is not going to lose here. So that being said, I will only say that we will, at least from my perspective, if I'm reelected, we will continue to do the work that we need to identify and that we need to improve on. And we, I want to hear from our citizens. As always, I'm open for calls or emails or texts or whatever, because I represent you. And the more I hear from our citizens, the more the more I'm able to represent your point of view as a school board member. So from that perspective, I will only say, please go out and vote, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to our citizens, our community leaders, and tell them what their thoughts are on all 4 of us.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you all candidates for your time tonight. I'm going to hand it over to Audrey for closing.
All right, yes, thank you for being up here and sharing your thoughts with our community, and thank you everyone for being here. I also want to thank Keith Husky, our amazing tech director, who set up this board event and has been back there making sure our community gets a chance to listen from wherever they are. This is also recorded and will be posted on our website, and we'll share it again in Mancos Matters. And also, I want to thank our facilities team for setting this up, and our office team, because they're the ones who really brought this all to fruition today. Our candidates are here for you to mingle with and chat with until 8 o'clock. We do still have some snacks and tea or coffee, and there is some information open at our open election information table. So please do stay around if you are interested in learning more about any of that, or just chatting with your community members. So thanks everybody again for tuning in. It really is great to see public process in motion, and we hope everybody at home and out here, and encourage your neighbors to vote. Thank you.
I didn't say thank you to Kyler. To being here.